We're back. Tim, good to see you. How have you
Likewise,
been?
David. Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, last week I was busy building Lego models with my daughter, so back to the real world.
Unfortunately, I prefer that world, I think.
It
Well,
was fun.
before we jump in, I just want to share there's a bunch of new content on the site. One thing in particular I'm kind of proud of. I did a piece on a deep dive into Zoom Workplace. It's a non sponsored piece. Not that I don't stand by my sponsored pieces, but this is a non sponsored piece. And I just kind of felt like there was more to the story in their announcement. And I'm pleased with the video. So go to letsdovideo.com and please check it out. Now, the first thing I want to get into, I need your help with something, Tim. I feel like I'm about to make a horrible, horrible mistake. And before I explain what the mistake is, let me give an anecdote. This is an actual true story, or maybe it's an urban myth, but at the end of the 18th century, 19th century, the 1800s, we had this boom of innovation and invention to the point where the head of the U.S. Patent Office at one point made an announcement and said, everything that could possibly be invented and patented is patented. Everything I could possibly imagine we've reached it. We've there's nothing else I can even imagine us wanting. We should shut down the U.S. Patent Office and fire me. And now it seems, oh my, how short-sighted was he? We didn't have television, we didn't have flight, we didn't have computers, we didn't have sliced bread yet. I mean, we still had a lot to go. So I always try to keep that lesson in mind. Okay, so now getting to the point, I'm about to write an article about video bars. And I feel like I'm going to say the same thing as the patent office guy. We're done. Video bars. For the foreseeable future, that's the right form factor. That's what we're going to be using. And what we have is what we got. We're good. Oh, yeah, we'll see some minor improvements here and there, but shut down the patent office. I'm cringing. I can't say shut down the patent office, but where are we going with video bars? Is there anything to look forward to?
Interesting one. I mean, at Enterprise Connect, we heard about various video bar vendors and also UCAS providers, UC providers that would allow you to record your own voice so you could identify who was speaking. I'm not sure that that's anything to do with the video bar, but it adds that extra dimension there.
The
I guess
software.
they're going, yeah, I guess. And we saw ones that could be turned um,
Vertical.
vertically as well as horizontally, didn't we?
Yeah,
But
D10.
that's just a mounting option. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think they're going to get smaller. They're certainly going to get larger processors on. So perhaps you can do some of that AI processing on the device, or some of those edge AI features will need bigger processors. I don't know. You're squeezing a lot out of a video bar, aren't you, at the moment? I don't know what the next big thing will be.
Big thing. But oh, my trick didn't work. I forgot. Oh, actually, wait, I can still get it to work. I have a trick I'm trying to get working here. But um, David Danto is in the chat. I just wanted to say hi to David Danto. Thanks for being here.
Hi, David.
We're talking about video bars, and um, you're talking about the next big thing. I'm like, what's the last big thing? Of course, I thought the D10 vertical mount is, yes, that is a real thing. That is useful. That is helpful. That's something we're going to use. It's good, but it's not, woo, let's throw a parade about it. It's not a huge thing. It's not a massive thing. It's a nice thing.
Hmm.
And it was the only, that was the only list. It wasn't like people had a list of innovations at EC about video bars. I said, is there anything new with video bars? And everyone said, I like the D10 thing. And I don't want to minimize it. I do like it too, but that's all we got.
One thing that is for sure is we know that that's an area that will be very competitive. It's very compelling for all sorts of reasons. I think the days of the multi telepresence days, the high-end telepresence days are potentially numbered as people start looking at having optimized experiences for certain vendors like Microsoft with their front row offering. But this is changing all the time, and I know we'll be coming onto it later, but there's different use cases, different models, and different sort of devices for different use cases. And I think that's where we need to go as an industry, is to say what are we trying to solve for? What employee experience are we trying to solve for or optimize for?
If a customer is coming to me, I feel like there's one big question I gotta get first, and from there I can go on. And the question is, do you want if you're, let's say there's Zoom or Microsoft Teams or WebEx or whatever. Do you want one of the video bars that's already running the Zoom room inside of it that has its own brains, or do you want a video bar and you have something else running the Zoom rooms? I feel like that's a big question we answer first, and that's our two main categories of video bars. And after that, then we have our differentiators. Hey, look, my trick works. By the way, you not to, okay, I'm going to be a little braggy. You might not see this in a lot of YouTube streams. I'm not saying I invented it, but I didn't see a tutorial for it. I figured out how to do it. But the last person who talks in YouTube chat live, their avatar pops up. David, it's great to actually see you in the stream. That's a great trick. But he's making good points. He's saying video bars used to be an innovation. Now they're a commodity. Exactly. Yeah. Features differentiate, nothing else. Yeah, it used to be, this company has a video bar. Now is there anything special about this company's video bar? And sometimes it's a good company, and I want to get a video bar from a good company because I like getting stuff from this company that I trust. Danto says to advise buyers to ask for the... Oh. I swear I said this before I read you saying it. Advise buyers to ask the brand they're buying from, or if they're buying it from an ODM or slapping their label from it. Yeah, see if it's made or if it's rebranded. And you suggest... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, David, the other area to bear in mind as well is how are these administered? How are these managed? What sort of reports can you get from it? Those will be other areas that maybe it's not the hardware, but it's the software behind it you'll be able to pull some meaningful value from. I think that's it. It's like, how easy is it to administer? How do you upgrade the firmware? How do you know if it's out of service? How many people are in the room? How often was it utilized? Those are the sorts of things that people start differentiating on, or should differentiate on. It's not all about optics, frame rates, that sort of thing. Although they're important, they're pretty much become table stakes across the board for all the hardware vendors.
And to give our vendors credit, a lot of them have amazing software solutions, both the vendors of the video bars themselves and sometimes the UC providers that run them. And they show them at their booths at the trade show. I'm like, this is so cool. I could see, I have 6 different buildings, and in this building I have these rooms, and this is what they're being used for, and this is when they're reserved, and this one has a problem. I'm like, y'all should tell the world about this stuff. This is really powerful, amazing stuff, and they've had it for years. Like, it's not as sexy as a hardware announcement. I mean, they make the announcements, they put out the press releases, but they don't beat the drum about it. But you brought it up because it is important. It's very important, and it's not something they need to start working on. They've done an amazing job with it.
Yeah, I remember I worked for one vendor, and we couldn't understand why the video was always down on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. What happened was the cleaner came in at the weekend, unplugged the video bar or the video device, plugged in the vacuum cleaner, forgot to plug it back in, and then IT used to get called out same time, same Monday. Well, if you've got a solution there that knows when your HDMI port has been taken out or disconnected or something's powered down, it's all great. It all helps with the fault finding or the understanding what's going on.
That leads into the next topic that I want to come into, which is using AI to understand our environments for workplace. We love these workplace desktop reservation tools. You and I in particular. I know that every time it comes up on this show, we're both like, yeah, let's talk about this, because the solutions exist. They're cool. They solve a real need. They're not being used as much as they should, in my opinion. I'd like to see some real data on it, but I bet if we talk to Zoom has a solution, Crestron has a solution, they would say that there's a lot of their customers who are big enough that they could be using it that aren't using it yet. Just a gut feeling. But I was at a presentation at Crestron had an event recently. I did a video wrap-up of it. And Andy Ellis is the presenter here, and he was talking about something that I hadn't thought of, which is the next level of using AI for these workplace reservations. Not just, oh, I see a green light, so I know I can click it and it's mine. Or what I love is I could use the app and scan the desk and get it at 3 o'clock. Oh, that's so cool. But there's no perfect temperature. Or some people run hot, some people run cold. The seats by the windows are hotter. The seats by the air conditioner are colder. AI can figure out who runs hot and who runs cold and who likes to be where and can help you reserve those desks. AI can figure out you just like being by the window. And you know what? Everyone else who likes being by the window comes in on Wednesday. So they're not going to schedule on Wednesday so you could sit by the window. I thought this was cool. And I, I, since we love talking about it, I thought it was like the next layer on our ongoing discussion about, hey, world, use this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if it turned and realized that the west part of the building was the noisy part. So if you're having a meeting, maybe you don't want to be involved in all the hubbub in the west wing, or maybe the east side is a little less busy or a little more conducive to focused work, or it's the lighting's better over this part of the building rather than that part of the building. So if you're having a video conference, maybe it's best not to go in these sorts of darkly lit areas. Or yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. What if you're a worker who works better in a loud environment? When there's people around you making noise, you're able to stay. You feel like you're at work, and when it's quiet, you get distracted. Different people have
Yep.
different work habits. This is this is a true story. In junior year in high school, so I'm 16 years old. So keep that in mind. I'm a 16-year-old boy. I was a troublemaker in history class. All my buddies sat next to me, and I was showing off and trying to be the class clown. I should have been doing my work, but I was bad, and it was disrupting the rest of the class. And the teacher tried different things to deal with me. I wasn't bad like he's going to suspend me, but David cut it out. So finally, he decided to move me away from my friends. Smart idea. And he moved me across go sit at that empty seat at the other side of the room. Okay, teacher. And I went over and I sat down and I looked over next to me, and the girl next to me, there were 600 people in my graduating class. So there were a lot of pretty girls. There are pretty girls that will never talk to me. Just, right there. And she was a pretty girl, but when a 16-year-old boy, when I sat next to her, she was really close. All of a sudden, she was a lot prettier, to the point where even now I remember I could barely talk. And she was nice to me. And so I stopped acting like an idiot. I started behaving. I was quiet. The rest of the year, I didn't cause any trouble. The professor was happy. She was happy because I was a good friend. I was a good listener. I was very nice and polite to her. And my grades went up. This is all about productivity. The end of the story is my grades went up because I moved seats. And if AI can, obviously it's not going to figure out which 16-year-olds have crushes because they're at work, but figure out who you work better with, what environment you work better with. It is productivity. Your grades will go up.
That's employee experience, which I think we're going to touch on shortly, but it's all
Yes.
around employee experience and making the return to the office or your hybrid working experience optimal for you, not just not one standard offering that you have to roll out to everybody. Because in the same way that for customer experience, it's all about personalization, I think for employee experience, it's also about personalization. Where do you work better? How are you more productive? How do you manage your time? Who do you work with? All of those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I had a reality check, another slide from the same presentation. I always wonder, we're in our little bubble, our little universe. We all read each other's articles. We've all written and read 100 articles about meeting equity. But when I talk to people in the real world, well, then I say meeting equity, they have no idea what I'm talking about. It's an industry term. But this same presenter was talking about hybrid surprises, and he gave this rant about meeting equity. He was invited to a room like this, and he was the only one there. So he looks tiny at the end of the bowling room table, and everyone else looks, like they're on Zoom or Teams. And I'm like, this is an outsider giving the meeting equity presentation. This is a real problem. So tying into what you're saying about experience, some things are universal, but some things are. It's a mix. I mean, this is a universal problem, but we also have the custom problems.
Yeah, and we saw that at Enterprise Connect, although the vendors could do a much better job in framing up what use case they're trying to solve for, because you see all these gorgeous devices, all of them wonderfully, mounted in people's booths. And then you sort of think, well, what problem are you trying to address here? And of course, the big one here is that bowling room or the bowling alley effect. that the likes of Yale and Jabra and Hudley or others are trying to solve, because as you've pointed out there, David, conferencing cameras capture the table from the same place as the screen, which is at the front of the room, and you get this bowling alley effect, which we're
Yeah.
demonstrating here.
It's
But
not a
what
great
we're
look,
seeing
but
now
this is what everyone's experiencing.
exactly. So we're trying to
And it's
solve
not
that
just
at the
us
moment.
saying it.
No, you've got someone there that isn't using the term meeting equity, which is great. But the way in which we look to solve it is through second, third, fourth type cameras. If you've got a long boardroom type rectangular table. But what I did see at Enterprise Connect were the sort of in-room center of table devices that are more optimal, because of course you get a better framed picture of whoever's speaking. And also there was some that would also showcase the panoramic view of the room as well. So that's going to be further enhanced by facial recognition and voice recognition. So remote attendees aren't, can literally match names to faces and aren't left with this, who's speaking over there? I don't know if they're male, female, long hair, short hair. They're just a dot at the back of the room. At least with these sorts of solutions, you'll lessen this hybrid surprise or bowling alley effect.
Help me out with this, Tim, because I need to give. There's one vendor that announced this, and that one vendor deserves credit, and the others don't. But the one vendor announced at Enterprise Connect, part of their AI innovations. We're used to, in meeting summaries, if there's 6 people in the meeting summary, the meeting summary knows that Tim is Tim. It knows that David is David. It knows that David Danto, if he's still here, is David Danto. And it thinks that meeting room 7 is a person. So if there's 6 people in meeting room 7, when you get the summary, it says meeting room 7 said this, meeting room 7 said, even it doesn't know who. And there was one vendor that made an announcement that said that their AI is going to know in meeting room 7 we have Sally and Jim and Tom and who's talking, and the meeting summary will have the individuals.
What I do remember at Enterprise
was
Connect was Microsoft saying that they were going to allow you to train your voice. And I remember saying, well, we're not too sure where that's going to be stored and whether or not that's compliant with GDPR and everything else. But the idea here was you could train Microsoft Teams to understand your voice, so it will identify me as a speaker in a room. It may have been Microsoft.
Then.
It may have been. I don't know if there were anyone else, but I have no doubt that no great deed goes unpunished. Everyone will have that feature by the end of the year, I should imagine. If it's yeah,
but it's tying along the trends that we're talking about.
Yeah, so that was the sort of reducing the bowling alley effect. I think the other one that you commonly come across is those enterprises that deal with multiple UC platforms. So at Omdia, we are a team shop, but we also speak with vendors on, as you would expect, we speak with RingCentral, we speak with Cisco WebEx, we speak with a whole range of Zoom, obviously, a whole range of vendors, and they want to use their platform. So part of the another use case is, how do you cater for bring your own meetings? So that there are organizations there that need to have frequent access to different UC platforms, and they need to have a common AV setup.
I like that.
Well, yeah, good point. But they need to have this common AV setup because they don't want to carve out, there's the Zoom room, there's the WebEx room, there's the Teams room, there's the RingCentral room.
No, I just have this room. I got a really good camera. I got my microphone set up, whatever they are. I love the audio. I love the video. You come in with your laptop. I don't care if you're running Teams or WebEx or Zoom, whatever you want to run. I want to use the good gear. And that's starting to be supported, which is cool.
And that's something that I remember Barco demonstrating on the trade show with ClickShare.
Wireless.
That was really good. Yeah.
That surprised me. I expect you'd be able to do it with dongles and cables. And it is a dongle, I guess, but with cables. But wireless and video, you usually don't have those two words in the same sentence. David Danto is a clarification, and I remember this now. Individual ID is not new in meetings. Cisco had it, and they pulled it from what you were talking about, privacy, GDPR reasons. I think they did it with facial recognition at that point. I'm not sure.
It's not something that's new. It's new. It's certainly new to Teams, but it's there to reduce that bowling alley effect, because otherwise you end up with people sort of thinking, well, I'll just sit at my desk and have a beautifully framed
Yeah, why
image of
why
myself rather than
why
meeting up
go?
in a meeting room. Yeah. So that was the sort of bring your own meeting. But of course, if you're looking at bring your own meeting, you aren't necessarily bringing your own AI. So you're not going to get meeting summaries across the board when you're a guest on other people's platforms, which is a problem. And then, of course, you need to sort of look at an optimal experience if you do have a common UC platform. So that would be the Microsoft Front Row, the sort of WebEx experience, the Zoom experience that, you know, you have dual monitors with really thin bezels, so it looks as if it's a big, long gallery view, those sorts of capability that are really optimized there for not only the user experience, so that it's easy join experience, and you've got certified devices that you know that work, but also from an IT perspective that it's good in terms of administration and management and data and insights and analysis as well.
I heard someone recently refer to that as the Last Supper view, because everyone's on one side of the table.
Oh, right. Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
one hand, I love it because I immediately get it, and it gives me a visual thing that I immediately get. But on the other hand, I don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anyone, but that's the view, right? It's a good.
Yeah.
That's the view.
Or we have seen some interesting models where you've had like a semicircle and it almost extends across to form a whole round table bringing in the distant end attendees as well. So there are some
Oh,
interesting different use cases there.
yeah. I want to bounce back to something you were talking about a couple of minutes ago. Center of table. That is the most controversial thing in our industry right now.
Mm,
That is, there are people that I respect and admire that I think are very bright that are saying, yeah, that's right, that's what's going to happen. And there are people who are saying, are you kidding me, David? No, we've been through this before. No,
yeah.
no, no. Not even, I'm not even going to, I'm not even going to humor the idea. No.
Yeah.
But we circle around into the circle around. You circle around the discussion, and we talk about the meeting equity, and we say, well, okay, logically, we need a frame on each person. So we need a camera that's capturing each person, even if digitally it frames it. There has to be. So you wind up needing. Okay, so you wind up needing multiple cameras to get all the different angles. Oh, multiple cameras, that's hard. Well, the only other thing is a camera in the center of the table.
Yeah.
You just wind up. That's where the conversation ends every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've been there before with Microsoft's Ring Cam, which were very mechanical for cameras all at different angles that digitally stitched it together. Then I think Polly, was it the CX? David might even, if he's still if he's still in chat, I think it's called the CX 200, 600, something like that, which was the next variation of the Ring Cam. And we're seeing this sort of proliferate now and becoming more digital rather than a mechanical solution. But
Owl.
yeah.
For
Oh, of course,
for
that was Owl
years
as
now,
well. Yeah.
when Owl first came out, that was right. This is the next big thing. Put it right in the middle of the table. Just
And
one
now
camera.
Yealink.
It
Yeah.
digitally fixes it. It solves all the problems. And I should be covering them better. I think they're still around. They're doing okay, but um, it's not like there's owls in every meeting room all over the world. It hasn't become the thing.
Yeah.
Why not?
No. The other thing that I was going to look at from
David
use
Danto says
cases.
he's listing them all. The
Oh,
Microsoft Roundtable, Silex, the
oh yeah.
Owl, 5000,
Pano. Yeah, there was
Fad.
also there.
He's saying it's
Yeah.
see David Danto is on the Fad side, but there are some other people that are saying, they certainly, they like in particular what Neat's doing or what HP is doing. The big brands are doing this. It's not just where did Owl come from?
No.
Although Owl did come from somewhere cool, but that's another story. It's
Yeah.
it's mainstream,
Yeah.
but I don't
And
want
then
to be laughed at. I don't want David Danto laughing at me in 3 years they're gone again and no one's using
yes.
them and none of them sold. I
Yeah.
don't want to be
Yeah.
told you so. So I'm not saying that they're going to, but I am open minded to it. It does seem, when you think about it, it seems like the solution to the problem.
Yeah, it does. I guess the other solution to the problem is really around desk booking as well, which is hybrid working. I just call it working. Whether or not you're in the office or at home, it's working, but you still have to cater for those non-assigned desks and non-assigned seating. So there's part of me that looked at Cisco and I thought, yeah, Enterprise Connect, they're going to launch another phone. 9800 series phone. What's special about that? Well, the fact that you can use it to book your desk, which is great. You get a red bookable desk or a green available desk. You can scan the QR code. You can reserve the desk, and of course you can do it very cost effectively if you decide to have desks phones at every desk. The other thing that was interesting as well was that this bookable desk idea is coming to Microsoft Teams next month. The idea that you can reserve a desk before you come to the office, that you've got automatic desk reservation once you plug into your shared desk, and that the Teams will book the desk all day in Outlook, and the work location gets updated into Teams. So there are vendors that are finally thinking, and my word, it's been how long since the pandemic was over and people have said they're going to return to the office? A couple of years now. Well,
It's
people
scary
are
how
coming
long
out
it's
with,
been. It's like
yeah.
ancient history now.
But
It's years and
what
years
is
ago.
good is the fact that people are, these solutions are coming out there. They clearly realize there needs to be a cost-effective way of dealing and booking with these non-assigned
I
seats.
want to hear more stories about customers actually using them. I want to hear about big deployments. I want to hear big bank of whatever is using it all over the place. I want to hear, because I think, yeah, I'm excited about these solutions. I think it'll make people's lives, a lot less stressful at the office. Although
I think so
talking about
too.
return to the office, Craig Durr gave a presentation recently. It's kind of hard to see this, and he was talking about some of the problems with returning to the office. And this is the distribution of when in the United States the office buildings were built, and that big bar is the 1980s. And I made a joke about how on LinkedIn about how the only good thing that came out of the 80s was music. And of course, a bunch of analysts are responding and saying, wait a minute, wasn't the music in the 70s? I'm not saying it's the best music ever. I'm saying that some music in the 80s was good. Nothing else was good. I don't think the buildings were very good. So the buildings they're trying to get us back into, they're in bad neighborhoods. They're concrete. It's hard to get the wiring in them. These are bad buildings. So we're already struggling with earn my commute, give me a reason to come back to the office. And oh, by the way, it's a terrible office building that was built in the 80s. It's in a bad neighborhood. This is a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, you don't want to have an office in where there's a high crime rate and not many external amenities like restaurants or cafes or places like that. And I think this is the problem. If you look at commercial real estate across the board, you know, CBRE, great website if you want to look into this. They've sort of said in the US, those downtown markets, particularly in the Pacific and Northeast regions, have got a share rate of those low occupancy buildings or those buildings that no one wants to return to. And I think what we found is that hybrid working and remote working has made people move away from those major urban sort of areas to less dense satellite offices that are more affordable. You get better quality buildings for your money, and people want to work there. You know, you're not going to get if you're in public transport, you're not going to get your commute's going to be a more pleasurable experience. But of course, we still need to work on what brings people into the office, and it's a challenge. People don't want to go into the office just to sit on a UC client all day. They want to go in there with a sense of purpose. We need to have meaningful commutes, meaningful meetings, meaningful collaboration when we're physically present. It's around building community and having specific reasons to come in. But if you're coming in, you know, I wouldn't want it in a high crime rate area where my mobile phone is at risk of being stolen or someone's going to mug me for my PC when I'm walking with my laptop. That is not what I want to go through.
But it's hard to tell an entire society across multiple countries, international society. The way we've built all of our buildings for the last 100 years is wrong. Tear them all down. It's people who
No.
say no. We have to get people in these buildings. I'm leasing this out. Get your people back in this building, and
Well,
and I'm sorry, guy.
yeah, what we are seeing is, especially in the UK and across Europe, is those buildings are being reprovisioned and they're getting the approvals to become residential buildings. So we're seeing a lot of office space and even high street space, you know, turning into residential buildings because people are shopping in different ways. People are working remotely. People want hybrid offices. They want to go to an office that is more grade A than grade B, C, D in less than, you know, less attractive neighborhoods. Yeah, so there's a big change going on there. So CBRE is a great resource to sort of check up on this sort of stuff. Gives you an idea of the price, per square foot per month in terms of leasing, and some of the areas that are probably more salubrious than others. But it means you've got to pick the right office space in the right location for the right, and make sure the technology is there for the right use cases. You need to sort of look at the employee experience and make sure it's optimal across the board.
Yeah, it's a big ask, but it really seems like if I wanted to start a huge company now, I would want a new building from scratch. I wouldn't want one of these old buildings. I would want something that meets my needs, and the workforce is different. It used to be if I have 10,000 employees, I need a building with 10,000 offices or 10,000 cubicles so that my 10,000 employees have a place to work every day. And now if I have 10,000 employees, I need an office that could accommodate 1,000 people and not cubicles, workspaces. And I want it to be near nice shopping and a cool place for them to have lunch. I'm thinking open and gardens and nice, and less space and not big square rectangle buildings.
What I think more like hotels, David. It's like, do I want to stay in the one near the airport, or do I want to stay in the one that might be a bit further afield but a bit more fancy? And facilities managers are now looking at office space and utilization. It's very much the hotel model. There's a reason why hoteling features in the dim and distant past of the PBX mapped its way into modern day working, because you logged in with this was your hot desk. This is the way in which you log in. This is you can reserve this particular space for yourself. We called it a hoteling feature in the days gone by.
Yeah.
We need to think of the office space almost like hotels with regards to occupancy, the way in which we're optimizing for the guest experience. In fact, I'd love facilities managers to refer to their employees as guests, because I think that changes the dynamic completely. How do I optimize for the guest experience?
Yeah, exactly, because it's not, it's not like we were saying with 10,000 workers. I don't have 10,000 spaces for 10,000 workers. I have 1,000 spaces for 10,000 workers on different days. So yeah, it's all shared spaces, and I like hoteling as a good way to look at it. Although I just don't love. I don't always have a great hotel experience, so I would like a more positive term, but it does describe it. And yeah, I think it's a nicer way to work, and a nicer way to live. We got here in a bad way with the pandemic, but this is where we needed to be.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I don't think so. Just in summary, different use cases. Make sure that vendors align their technology and their devices to solve for employee experiences and use cases. Makes our life easier, makes customers' lives easier, because they understand what is the exact problem they're trying to solve for, whether or not that's an optimal experience on a single platform, a bring your own experience on shared AV space, or whether or not it's how we sort out this bowling alley effect, or how we optimize for a meeting room to make it more multi-purpose. But think in terms of use cases rather than just cool technology. I think that's the best way to sort of summarize our session.
Nice. Ooh, I should make that a clip for shorts. That was really good. All right. Well, thank you, Tim. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm not traveling again this month, so I'm here. You're
Excellent.
good?
Me too.
All
Look
right.
forward to it.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.